If you guys could choose a few games to get re-releases, not remasters, not ground-up remakes, just re-releases as they were, scaled up to widescreen ratio and made to look decently pretty, what games would they be? I'm talking about games that are like bound to the consoles or platforms that they released on. There are games that are expensive for that very reason. We're looking at like Silent Hill here. That's why Silent Hill, all of them, are pretty expensive these days, and it's because each one of them isn't available digitally. It's not available easily. It's a case of if you want to go and play Silent Hill 2, you need to own a copy of it on a PlayStation 2, on an original Xbox, or, God forbid, emulation. If we look at an example of a game that did this right, we're looking at The Warriors, for example. This is a game that is bound to the PlayStation 2. However, you can play it on a PlayStation 3, you can play it on a PlayStation 4. I think you might even be able to play it on PlayStation 5. Just play it as it was. There's no changes. It just is made to look a little bit prettier than it would look if you were running it natively on a PS2. This is how I think a re-release should be done. And there are a lot of games that need this treatment and not a remake or a remaster, because quite often when you remake or remaster a game, it loses aspects of that game that made it good in the first place. It's the current worry that a lot of people have with the Silent Hill 2 remake, where is it just going to change so much stuff that it isn't capturing what captured Silent Hill 2 so well? Or an example of a game that did that perfectly would be Dead Space Remake. That did Dead Space justice. It did exactly what it needed to do. An example of a game that changed a lot about the original, but still in a way that was good, is a Resident Evil 4 remake. And in reality, I think we should probably get more of these re-released style remasters instead of remakes, because they have just got to be a lot cheaper. You ain't got to pay somebody to remake the game from ground up. You've just got to make it so that it's playable in modern day. It can't be that difficult, can it? Another example of games that were given this treatment the way that I want more games to be given it is the Prince of Persia games. Like, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time trilogy were given the exact treatment that I want. They were just upscaled and re-released for the PlayStation 3. Now, thing is though, enough time has passed that even that isn't very easy to obtain anymore. And for that reason, this HD trilogy is becoming an expensive thing to get hold of too. Like, just all three games on one disc, in HD, re-released in modern day. And I don't think you can even play that on a PS4 or a PS5, like not even through streaming through PlayStation Plus. And that's kind of sad. There are a lot of games that will be lost to time, and this is a lot of the reason why I enjoy collecting games so much, because then they're not lost to me. But I want you guys to comment down below, what game would you like to see given this treatment, where it is ported over, made to look a bit prettier and just more functional. Maybe even the controls don't even need to be altered. Maybe some games, for example, there are a lot of old first-person shooters where you aim down sights by clicking in R3 rather than the left bumper, or L1 or L2. Like, it depends on the console you were playing it on. But a game that I would love to just play in modern day more easily is Urban Chaos Riot Response. I used to play this game on repeat because it's just, the replay value of this game is crazy. And you can tell that this is my childhood copy because the condition is not looking too good. I think it spent a decent amount of time in the sun. Like, it looks like the top of it as well, you can't quite see, but I can. It looks actually decayed a little bit. I'll see if I can like throw up some gameplay or something like that somewhere around. Like, I don't know what it was about this era of games, but there were a lot of games that you were police and you were tasked with either non-lethal or lethal options, and the game did not really chastise you for either way. In fact, it encouraged repetition because you could either use your stun gun. Shout out to this one dude whose footage I'm using for this. In fact, let me get you his name. X Timeless Gaming, thank you, bro. Using your playthrough footage here. But it was just a lot of fun because it was a level-based game. You'd go through, you'd have to get X amount of like headshots, X amount of like incapacitations. You'd unlock more medals, and more medals unlock you more gear to go back and replay those levels. You'd get shotguns. You could pick up the enemy weapons. Just, this game was satisfying, and I feel like you don't get games made like this anymore. And if they were to remake it, it wouldn't be anywhere near the same sort of feel as it was right here. You know, like a lot of people will look at these graphics and go, "Oh, it's not good enough. It's ugly, but it'll do." And in reality, if we want games that are creative and that are not just AAA like live service games, it would make sense to look at some of these games that are stuck on the platforms that they released on and re-release them in modern day. Just port them over, sell them for 20 quid, something like that. Like, it would, I'm sure it would make some money, surely, from people like me that played it for nostalgia, like 2005. Like, it's the same with the Prince of Persia games that did kind of get re-released with the PlayStation 3 remasters. Just do that. Make things playable. Make old good games playable in modern day more easily, and just not everything needs a ground up remake or remaster. Like, this trailer came out for the Silent Hill 2 remake, remaster, whatever, and if we can get to some combat, a lot of people who played the original are just very worried that it's just not gonna feel, that it's just not gonna feel right, because we're very clearly going the Resident Evil remake route here with the systems and things. Like, it looks very similar, and to be fair, I don't blame them, because a lot of those Resident Evil remakes are just brilliant, especially 2. 3 needed more work, but this, it almost looks like it might be too combat focused with the quick time events. It might lose some of that horror aspect that made the first one kind of spooky in the zoomed out camera angles. Like, if I find you some gameplay from the game that is being remade here, like, I know to a lot of people that grow up with modern games, it might look janky, but it's different. It's just different. If you played for half an hour games like this with tank controls and things like that, you'd be just fine. You really would. Also, everybody, we may actually hit the number before I actually upload this video, but we're approaching 8,800 subscribers, which is awesome. And if you guys haven't already, do subscribe and help hit that number. I just think there are a lot of games that don't need remakes. A lot of people say, "Oh, Simpsons Hit and Run needs a remake." No, it doesn't. Re-release it. Just for 20 quid, even 30 quid, I suppose. Just re-release the game, port it over to modern consoles as it was exactly. And people would play it. People would buy it, especially just nostalgia merchants like me. You don't need ground-up remakes that cost hundreds of millions to make games. This is the problem, is that gaming budgets have gotten so out of control now that games have to make so much money to be profitable that they end up just falling and failing, even if they are highly acclaimed games. This is the reason why we are probably not going to get Dead Space 2 remake, because I'm pretty sure that's been shelved. Because while everybody loved the Dead Space remake, not enough people bought it, according to the developers. Enough people bought it that 10 years ago it probably would have been a massive success. But for now, apparently not. And this is why games are so heavily monetized these days through live service methods and just microtransactions just all over the shop, battle passes, because they feel like the purchase price of the game is not going to cover as much money as they needed to have made it worthwhile to make the game in the first place, and that's just insane to me. But anyway, that's a bit of a 10-minute ramble here. So comment down below, what game would you like to see re-released, ported over in HD, whatever, not remade ground up. We don't need that. And also, have you noticed the different style of video here? I've got my actual microphone being used and my fancy camera versus the way that I have been filming things for the last few days. It's a little bit different. Let me know. Just playing around with setups, because I just endlessly play around with setups. It's kind of what I do. Anyway, bye-bye. Subscribe. Do it. Like the video now. Right now.